My friends, this is very important breaking news. An American gas ship was hit inside a port in Egypt. The President of the United States promised a very tough response to Iran tonight. The militias in Iraq gave an ultimatum to their own government with a specific date already set, and among those hit last night by the Americans and Saudi Arabia were Iranian military advisors. There was even a funeral in Baghdad today with coffins covered by the Iranian flag. This all happened while you were working and I was preparing this live broadcast for you. And there's also a version saying that the attack in Egypt didn't even happen. Pay close attention, everyone. Stay with me and I'll show you both versions and also how to find out which one is true. And now a very small terrorist organization has even come forward taking responsibility for what happened in Egypt. Leave from Israel, where it's all happening. Organizing brings order to the chaos of information for you. Let's start with what I think is the biggest story today. It's Egypt, folks. It was at the port of Damietta on Egypt's northern coast. On the Mediterranean, just to be clear. It's on the Mediterranean, not the Red Sea or Strait of Hormuz. I want to be clear about what was hit there, because this is important. It wasn't the port structure. It was an American-owned and operated gas tanker flying the flag of the Marshall Islands. Pay attention, everyone. The explosion happened at the port's gas terminal right when the cargo was being transferred. That is at the worst possible moment. And they were very lucky because no one was injured and the port structure was not damaged. The vessels involved were towed out of the port to remove the danger, and up to this moment, no group has claimed responsibility. Only this one, a large group, right? Another much smaller group, I'll give you its exact name. It's Alban Air Brigades. Albana. Okay? It's a brigade linked to Hezbollah. They claimed responsibility for it, but no one is really taking this claim seriously. They are taking responsibility for this one for now. No one seems to be taking it seriously, but they claimed responsibility. Let's review the versions for now. No statement other than this one. No claim and no video with those little songs and the drone flying around, right? And I saved for the end of this live my take on who does something like this and doesn't put their name on it, we know, because in this case, silence is the most valuable information there is. And now I also need to show you those competing versions because there are two going around right now and they contradict each other. The first one comes from a British maritime security company, one of those that monitor ship incidents all over the world. It states that the gas tanker owned by an American company flying the Marshall Islands flag was hit by one or two drones. And it's up front about what still isn't known. It said this: who did it and how much damage was done? No one has claimed responsibility yet, and the Egyptian side is still investigating. The second version comes from Egypt's own security sources and they deny everything. They say there was no drone attack at that port and that the fire started in the engine room of an old ship. Engine failure. That was the official explanation from Egypt. Now look, guys. Now notice how each version is convenient for each side. If it was a drone, Egypt would have been hit for the first time in this war. And a country that is hit is forced to respond in some way. Even if it's just for show, guys, a speech. They need to say something. But if it was the old engine catching fire, that is, nothing happened. Life goes on as usual, the port reopens at night, and no one needs to do absolutely anything. And just look at how the Egyptian authorities behaved, because this says a lot. The Ministry of Petroleum confirmed the fire on board the ships and reported that there were no injuries or casualties, but they did not call it a terrorist attack. They formed a commission to investigate the case. In other words, Egypt confirms the fire and avoids the word attack. A government confirming the fire but not the attack isn't lying or denying, it's just stalling, folks. I won't confirm either version for you. I'm going to give you a way for you to figure this out on your own in the next few hours. Keep an eye on the ship's insurance. If the companies that insure these ships, that pay out the insurance for the ship, right, start charging higher premiums for ships entering this specific port, it's because they treated that as an attack, and then the accidental fire version falls apart. Because insurance companies don't base decisions on the news. They decide based on the risk of losing money. And now pay attention to the map as well, because this is what makes this news the most important of the day. even though a lot of people aren't taking it into consideration. But this is the most important story of the day. This port isn't in the Persian Gulf. It's not located in the Strait of Hormuz. It's also not located in the Red Sea, guys. Damietta is located in the Mediterranean, on this side, close to Israel, really close to Israel. It's the coastline that faces Europe. And Egypt isn't in conflict with anyone, at least for now, right? It's not at war with anyone. It hasn't shot at anyone. It hasn't joined any coalition. It hasn't signed any statement against Iran or anything, any punishment or any criticism against Iran. Nothing, absolutely nothing. That is, it's a country that's not involved in the fight and had a drone strike at its own port. And the target wasn't just any ship, it was an American asset. And what was that ship? A floating gas plant anchored at the port. It receives the gas that comes from outside and injects it directly into Egypt's power grid. Here's a point few people know. Egypt is no longer the gas exporter everyone knew in the past. Production went down, consumption went up, and the country became a buyer. They started renting ships like these, like the one that was hit, for example, to meet the demand. So, whoever hits a ship like that isn't just hitting an American company, they're targeting the energy supply of a country with over 100 million people during summer, folks. Just a reminder, it's summer. 45-50 degrees easily in that region. Combine those three things for the full picture. Neutral territory, Egypt, American property and gas, okay? Always gas, always oil, and always energy. There's someone out there trying to cause a global energy crisis, folks. And I talked about this exact thing in our earlier live stream today, right? Earlier today. The preferred target of this conflict stopped being barracks and became tanks, pipelines, terminals and ships. And that port over there in Egypt is the most recent proof of that. And it's the most serious because it was the first time this pattern spread to the other side of the Mediterranean. Now, I need you to understand what this means for us in Israel, okay? That drone wasn't just a message to Egypt because it happened there. It was almost certainly a drone, okay? We're almost completely certain it was a drone and they won't admit it in any way. It wasn't just a message to the Americans, not just them. It was a message to Israel too, guys, because Egypt also buys gas from Israel. Remember that billion-dollar deal Israel signed with Egypt to sell gas? So they buy gas from Israel through a pipeline. And if Egypt's capacity to receive gas by ship is affected, the pressure on this pipeline that comes from here increases immediately. So add to that the fact that our platforms are also in the Mediterranean Sea, just a few hours of sailing from that port. So the question that is being asked today by all the military analysts on both sides of the border is just one. If a drone reached a gas ship inside an Egyptian port without anyone, pay attention, taking responsibility, what's stopping them from trying the same thing with our platforms? In the Mediterranean? Where did the drone come from? If it came from Egypt and that brigade claimed responsibility, or if it came from Iraq, guys, from the other side, it came from very far away, that's for sure. So, it could easily hit a platform in Israel as well, despite all the defense systems that exist here in the region. They are among the most protected targets here in Israel. And this isn't something new. But a protected target, we have to make this very clear, has never been an impossible target. The warning was sent to the neighbor's address. Anyone who needed to understand likely already did. While Egypt was putting out this fire, the President of the United States spoke up, right? Trump is really pissed off and angry. Trump promised today very clearly that the United States will hit Iran with a lot of force. Today, a lot of force in response to attacks against American forces in the region. Let me be clear, since I've seen videos today of people discussing things they don't understand, pay attention. Iran did not attack Jordan because the United States, together with Saudi Arabia, attacked the Iranian militias in Iraq. It wasn't a response to that attack. This came before, okay? They attacked Jordan, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia first, and the United States attacked the militias afterward. So, it was not a response to the American attack. The Americans responded, maybe they're in Iraq in another way, right? To try to respond immediately to this attack that happened against Jordan. So, one thing has nothing to do with the other. And Trump also just made another statement. He said the following. Look, Trump, he talked about the incident today in Egypt. He said he was informed about the incident like in other cases at the right time. Iran will be hit hard. He knows this is coming. He also said this just came out and is likely being discussed in the press. The Iranians know we're going to hit them hard today. It's our turn. We'll hit them really hard tonight. Will it just be a symbolic message again? Or will it be a real attack? Let's take a look. Before I continue our live stream, let me show you the planes. Look at how many planes are already arriving in the region, taking off right now. We know that the attacks usually happen around 1 in the morning, right? But anything is possible and everything can start at any moment. Look at the number of cargo planes, actually not cargo, refueling planes in the Gulf region. There are already 2 here. There are more here. Taking off, heading towards Iraq. Another one, probably heading towards the Gulf as well. This one too, just departed Israel and is now taking off. They're already getting ready because it takes time, right? It's a 3-hour flight to get here, okay? From Israel to this side of the Gulf, it's about a 3-hour flight to this region. Here where Dubai is, 3 to 3.5-hour flight. By then, it will be 1 o'clock here, 1:30, around 1:30 in the morning, more or less, until these planes get into position, because the planes are no longer at the airports. Here in Qatar, there are no more American military planes in this region, not even in Bahrain. They are in Riyadh, in Jordan, and in Israel. It's not a military secret, guys, that I'm telling you. Everyone knows this, okay? There's nothing new here. Everyone knows exactly that. Let me put up this other little map here. I'll put up the one from Iraq here. Let's see, just so you guys understand. Strait of Hormuz, Red Sea, the Mediterranean Sea is right here. Look, over here, okay? The attack was here. It was on this side here, so they fired and went really far. Now let's continue here about the response. He didn't stop just with this announcement, okay? He called the militias supported by Iran, Trump, he called them a cancer, the cancer of the world. These Iran-backed militias from Iraq. He also said that he is considering issuing new warnings about the regime's proxies spread throughout the region. And what do warnings mean? It's what comes before the attack, folks. At that moment in the conversation, he said a phrase almost no one connected with the rest. We are going to let the Americans, the Iranians, keep talking. In other words, we are going to keep negotiating. He promises a military response and also to keep the negotiation table open, all in the same breath. That's Trump, okay? I'll revisit this contradiction at the end, as it's not a distraction. It's Trump's entire strategy in this story. And the second threat of the day came from Iraq with a date marked on the calendar. For you to understand, Iraq's response is what happened. In the early morning, the Iraqi militias issued an official statement containing 2 decisions. It's the most important document from today. The first decision. They gave the Iraqi government until August 9th. You then ask me, a deadline for what? What kind of demand would that be from these Iraqi militias? What would that be? For the Baghdad government to show how it will react to the action and what it will do against those responsible for it, the American action and the Saudi Arabian action. They gave until the 9th to decide on this. Pay attention to what this really means in practice, because it's serious. A militia that is within the official structure of the state has just given an ultimatum to the state of which it is a part. Remember that they are part of the state. These terrorist organizations, both Hezbollah and others, are part of the legitimate Iraqi government. It's the same thing in Lebanon. Hezbollah also has members of parliament there, okay? So they really are part of the country's political power. It's not a threat against an external enemy. It's a threat against their own government, which pays their salaries. And the reason for these guys' fury is in the report they themselves released just a little while ago. At least 20 members were taken out of action and 32 were injured in the early morning action, according to reports. 6 or 7 members of the Revolutionary Guard. This is the latest information, that it wasn't just Iraqis. An international agency published it, citing 2 officials as sources, and then images of it came out, okay, from the militias themselves. That at least 6 Iranian military advisors were taken out of action from last night to this morning. There's even an image here. Look, let me put it here so you can see. Look, this is today's image, okay? That was over there. Coffins in Iraq with the flag of Iran, all right? With the flag of Iran, that means the same situation as in Lebanon. Remember the Iranian guys who are underground there waiting to be released. It's the same thing in Iraq, guys, the same thing. Iranian guys, people sent by Tehran. And the correspondents recorded the scene in Baghdad. They took these photos there. Funeral organized by the militias themselves with coffins covered by the flag of Iran. Iranian flag at a funeral in Iraq in front of the camera. No shame or problem. This is visual proof of what I've been explaining to you for a long time. That's not a local militia sympathetic to Tehran. Some people say that they are sympathizers, collaborators, supporters of Tehran. That's not it, guys. It's Tehran's structure operating inside another country, just like they operate inside Lebanon as well. This changes the scale of the response that's coming, probably. While the ones getting killed are Iraqi militia members, Tehran can act like the fight isn't theirs, always claiming it's unrelated to them. When someone in their own house falls, they can't pretend anymore. Do you agree? Now that an Iranian has fallen, they need to act. And now the second decision from the statement, they postponed the response, and the justification they gave is invaluable for understanding the region's calendar. For you who also study what happens in the Middle East, they postponed it because of the Arbaeen pilgrimage. Arbaeen means 40-40, okay? 40 in Hebrew. In Arabic, it's also very similar. Arbaeen in Arabic and Arbaeen in Hebrew, okay? So that means 40 days after the death of Hussein. Anyway, a Shia celebration to preserve, in their words, the safety of the pilgrims. So they are in the middle of this Arbaeen pilgrimage, Arbaeen, a Shia religious pilgrimage to the city of Karbala. Millions of people walk across Iraq on foot, also sleeping during this journey on the road. Dates are important. The pilgrimage has already begun. The first groups have been on the road since last week, and the main day falls on August 4th. After that, when they return, they'll retrace the same path, which takes a few more days. So, note the deadline they gave the government. August 9th, 5 days after the main day, with the road already empty. This also applies to the entire Shiite region. Shiite, guys, the whole Shiite region is, one way or another, waiting for this journey, this Arbaeen, these 40 days to end, okay? They are waiting for this to end, for all of this to boil over once again. So, August 9th is the date, and waiting for it to end isn't kindness. They're people, it's calculation. With the road full, every move they make happens in front of millions of people, so they have trouble doing that. They ended the statement with no doubt left. The response against the American enemy will surely come. Just reminding you here, folks, those militias over there are as strong or even stronger than Hezbollah. Hezbollah from Lebanon is honestly very strong. And so far, they haven't really entered this war, guys. They haven't joined in. They launched a drone here, a drone there. But they have ballistic missiles just like Hezbollah in Lebanon. They have cruise missiles and all that military equipment, which Hezbollah also has in Lebanon. Remember, they're on Iran's side. In other words, they have much more than Hezbollah in Lebanon because they didn't need to smuggle it. They just had to put it inside Iraq, which is right next to Iran. And they continued. They ended the statement, leaving no doubt. The response, it's going to come on the 9th. And if it's necessary, it could also be directed against American forces in Saudi Arabia. So what they did was set a time, guys. Nobody sets a date for something they don't intend to do. They're saying now, it's not possible. People are on the road, then we'll fight. Notice the practical effect this has had in under a day. The trip of the Prime Minister of Iraq, remember the Prime Minister of Iraq who visited Trump, chatted with Trump, then promised to take the weapons away from that militia. He was supposed to travel to Saudi Arabia tomorrow, and this visit was cancelled? Cancelled because of the action that happened at dawn. So think about how big this is. The head of government of a country just lost the ability to travel to the neighboring country right there, Saudi Arabia, because armed groups within his own security apparatus consider that neighbor a target. Now, just let me give you a tip here, guys. Just a tip for you there in South America. These groups are infiltrating there too, okay? They're infiltrating there. You know that very well. It's nothing new. In those countries, they're already part of the government. Completely, they're in the government, both in Iraq and in Lebanon. The question that remains is, isn't it already part of the government there as well? There is no clearer image than a state without control over its own house, folks. That's what's happening. And look at the chain reaction from this. This trip by the Prime Minister wasn't for tourism, okay? It was exactly the conversation that could have cooled things down between Baghdad and Riyadh after dawn. The talk that might have eased tensions was cancelled due to the heat. That's how an escalation feeds itself. If you've made it this far, leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this live with your groups. What's next is rarely reported in Portuguese. For those concerned about the live's length, it's impossible to put so much information and so many details into an 8-minute video. Do you agree with me? It's impossible. You'll just get a headline and end up like everyone else. Like everyone, you'll see the title and think you know the topic. This is much deeper. You also need to understand the local culture, the way things work, the traditions, the holidays. You need to understand all of this to be able to understand what's happening here, then clear up your doubts and speak with authority, with authority and confidence about the subject. You already know what's happening. Did you know about the Arbaeen holiday? You didn't know, so now you know. And now the rest of the board, starting with some news that isn't explosive at all, but is still worth a lot. Today, an international news agency published a report, right? Reuters, I think it was Reuters, with 3 sources interviewed about a deal that Iran closed with China. Look at that, folks. There are up to 400 shoulder-fired anti-aircraft missiles, and the first shipment might arrive as early as next week. The contract value is between $60 and $70 million, and the contract was signed through a company based in Hong Kong, which acted as an intermediary between the Iranian side and the Chinese supplier. And now I need to explain here what this weapon is, because the technical name actually hides its importance. Shoulder-fired anti-aircraft missiles. You need to understand what this is, guys. It's the one that a man can carry and fire standing up by himself. That means it doesn't need a giant radar, it doesn't need a truck, it doesn't need a fixed installation or anything, guys. It can just be there in the garden. Put it here on his shoulder, he points, locks onto that plane or that drone, locks the target with the lock button and fires, and the little missile goes all the way to the plane. It's mainly used to shoot down things that fly low. Helicopter, approaching plane, civilian plane coming into land, and especially drone. And here's the point that matters too. The months of operations against Iran destroyed exactly their fixed anti-air defenses, the ones that don't move, guys. Radar has a fixed location, an air defense battery has a fixed location, a fixed installation is a sitting target. 300 or 400 mobile units that are coming from China now don't have a fixed location. You spread these out at refineries, schools, hospitals, bases, energy facilities, any sensitive location. Each team carries their own. On their backs here, not a problem. It moves daily and never appears on satellite images. Can you imagine? In the middle of a crowd, he can simply pull it out like Hamas does and fire. It's very, very simple. The regime is swapping heavy defense for dispersed defense. It lost what was big and fixed, and now it's buying what's small and mobile. And this is extremely dangerous, guys. For airplanes, this is very dangerous. And there's also a political detail in this story that we can't ignore. Earlier this week, I don't know if you remember, but I do. The American president said, Trump publicly stated actually, a while ago. He repeated it again this week. He said he had an agreement with China's president to prevent anyone from selling weapons to Iran. Do you remember that? I remember right at the beginning of the week. And today, a signed contract shows up with the amount, the quantity, and an intermediary in Hong Kong. Beijing is denying that they're involved with this. They say the report has no basis at all. And I'll tell you here what I think. A $70 million contract for sensitive military material doesn't leave Hong Kong for Tehran without someone in Beijing knowing about it. Do you agree with me? Now, can you imagine if I went to Brazil, for example, and bought from there, from that one, $70 million in weapons? Do you really think the government wouldn't notice? No one in the government will notice that much weaponry leaving. It's impossible, especially in China. And if Iran is buying air defense systems now, in a hurry, paying a lot and receiving it in weeks, it's because they expect to be hit soon, very soon. Guys, again, nobody buys an umbrella on a sunny day. Do you agree? No one buys when it's sunny. Umbrellas don't sell. There are people who actually use it, right, to protect themselves from the sun. Let's head north since there was movement on our border last night too. There's a lot of important information. I'm going to complete that chart I mentioned earlier, guys. So stay until the end of this video so you can understand everything that's happening in the Middle East. The spokesperson for the Israeli Armed Forces reported that the terrorist organization Hezbollah launched a drone with an explosive payload against one of our engineering vehicles in the Altar Ridge area in southern Lebanon. There were no injuries on our side, and the statement used a specific expression, a blatant violation of the ceasefire agreement in Lebanon. And it ended by saying that the forces continue to operate in that region and that they will not allow terrorists there to move forward with plans against our soldiers. In military language, this means that a response is being prepared. So I believe the response will be simultaneous. Both in Iran today by the United States and also in Lebanon by Israel, I believe almost everything will happen at the same time. And that summit, that place where they are, where the drone came from, isn't just any place, okay? Underneath that place, there's a gigantic underground Hezbollah complex, built with Iranian help, which the Israeli Defense Forces have described as the nerve center of the division operating in that region. More than a kilometer of tunnels and a bunker with a weapons depot inside. And there's something going on there as well. For weeks now, for weeks, that few people are following this story. Our forces controlled the summit of this mountain from above and they closed off the exits of the tunnel. About 40 Hezbollah terrorists are trapped down there, unable to get out, with limited food and supplies, okay? And according to information reports, there are Iranians trapped down there with them, okay? And maybe the Israeli response will be to destroy this bunker today with those 40 people inside. It could happen today. Write down that information as well. Let's combine these two things. Drone launched from that region tonight, and 40 men cornered in the basement right below. If the response hits there, and the expectation is that it won't just be the target, it'll be the basement too. And in the United States, Netanyahu spent the day in meetings again. He met with the president yesterday, with the vice president yesterday as well, and today with the Secretary of Defense, Peter Hegseth. Today I saw a video of Peter. I'm going to try to translate it. Actually dub this video. This video is amazing. This video is amazing, guys. It's not really related to the topic, but kind of is. When he wasn't a secretary yet of war, Secretary of Defense, Minister of War, he came to Jerusalem with his wife. They went for a walk in the old city of Jerusalem. And he thought that was fantastic. Impressive. How Israel rebuilt all of that, right? And renovated everything that needed to be renovated. And he envisions the construction of the third temple soon. He said that, guys. Peter Hegseth said that. I didn't know he had said that. I saw this video today. I'll try to subtitle or translate it for you. He said he hopes to see the third temple of Jerusalem under construction soon. Okay? Just noting this because he's currently the Secretary of War, the United States Secretary of Defense. In other words, man, just like Marco Rubio, who always supports Israel, just take a look at who these three people Netanyahu met with are. They are exactly the three who decide whether or not the United States uses force. One meeting a day like that in a row. Who made this schedule? They didn't just go to take pictures. They went there to settle things. Who does what and when? That's exactly it, okay? That's what Netanyahu went there to do. And now let's come back here to the sea with some news that almost nobody reported and that directly affects our pockets. Check out this development, guys. Look at this. Pay close attention. The Houthis are planning to charge a transit fee for ships crossing the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. It's a joke, right, guys? What a joke. Charging a toll just like the Iranians. This isn't their idea. This is a copy. The Iranian regime did exactly this in the Strait of Hormuz. First, they fired at a ship. Then they declared that they control who comes in and who goes out. Then they wanted to charge those crossing. Same problem. And now their arm in Yemen is repeating the same script. They fired at Saudi Arabian ships, said there's a naval blockade, and now they'll charge a fee for anyone passing through. Here's how this octopus operates. The head in Tehran gives the orders. The arm does it and appears alone in the picture as if they're the only ones involved. But that's not true. Iran is behind it all. And once a toll like this is really established, it never goes away, folks. Never. It becomes a permanent cost, a freight cost. It ends up in everything you and the rest of us buy. And look at what's happening. Pay close attention to this, everyone. I'll show you the map here so you can understand. They're saying that here, whatever passes through this region will have to pay. And here, Iran says that whoever passes through here will also have to pay. In other words, they're controlling these two extremely important choke points for navigation. They want to control them. Actually, they're already controlling them. Let's be honest. In this part of Yemen, they're already in control. Look at the number of reports of shots fired at ships here. All of these are reports. This is Yemen. This area is controlled by the Houthis. Here are Yemen's forces. The Yemeni army is fighting the Houthi army along this border. Yemen's legitimate force, backed by Saudi Arabia. Maybe at some point they'll be able to take back the capital here, Sana'a. But for now, the Houthis are saying they're going to control it. They're going to charge a fee. And look at what's being said now. Let's go to Lebanon, because this could also change the whole calculation for Hezbollah. Lebanese sources talk about the risk of confrontation within Lebanon itself between Hezbollah and forces linked to the regime that currently controls Syria. And they report unusual movements coming from Syria toward northern Lebanon. Remember that Trump said he might maybe hand over. Remember that he might hand over control of the war there to Jolani. Actually, he's going to stop fighting against Hezbollah. You guys remember that, right? So now they're saying there's a big movement of these rebels or of the Syrian army, which is legitimate today. It's the legitimate army of Syria heading towards northern Lebanon. I'm not confirming this, But if Hezbollah has to watch their back while looking south, it changes everything for them because they'll be cornered. And they'll be decimated by Jolani's army. Just look at the conditions in the Strait of Hormuz. Look at the number of ships stuck here, unable to leave, unable to actually enter, and a bunch of ships stuck inside here, unable to get out. Look at the situation in the Strait of Hormuz right now. There isn't a single ship passing through on the Americans' route. Look at these two. This one just stopped. It was moving a moment ago. Iranian ship too. Maybe the American blockade is making it turn back. And here there's an American ship. Check that out. Something happened here. At this point here, there's an American ship here and here an Iranian ship. The American blockade probably won't let it leave. And it will have to go back here toward Bandar Abbas. And Egypt, guys, and Egypt, let's go to Egypt. Egypt is also showing up here in this story, okay? Arab sources talk about a big agreement between Cairo and China involving fighter jets, drones, and air defense. If this is confirmed, it deserves its own video, guys. They're buying a lot. Because then China appears twice in one day, selling air defense to Iran and fighter jets to Egypt. While everyone is looking at the missiles, there's someone selling to both sides. Remember that in Bahrain, there were also Chinese-made anti-aircraft weapons, anti-aircraft missiles to shoot down missiles. And now I'm going to tell you what I think about all this, folks. Come back here with me to Egypt, okay? Let's go back to Egypt, because I owe you the answer I promised you at the beginning. If it really was an attack, and I truly think it was, who hits a gas target and doesn't claim responsibility? Who could this person be? Just notice the pattern. When the Houthis hit a ship, they publish the name of the vessel and also a video. When the Revolutionary Guard Navy stops or hits oil, remember when those oil tankers were hit here? There's also a statement about how many tankers there were. What they did, there's even video. These people live to claim responsibility, guys. Claiming responsibility is their whole thing. They love doing this. That little action video where they're controlling some kind of ship. When something happens and no one claims credit, like with Egypt, there are two possible explanations and both are uncomfortable. The first one, whoever did it risks losing something if identified. There are addresses that can't be revealed. There are agreements that can't be broken in public. Some people still act like they're not part of this fight. Imagine the Revolutionary Guard admitting to attacking Egypt, while Egypt was neutral and even supported them. So they're not going to admit that at all. This time, it's going to be hard for them to admit it. The second, the result turned out differently than planned. A fire on a gas ship, no one can control that. If that had turned into a tragedy inside this port, with an Egyptian worker involved, no one would want to take the blame the next day, right? Iran wouldn't want that either. And even less so Iran-backed militias. And now a third piece has come up here, and I'm going to share it with you here with all the care in the world. 2 days before this happened. 2 days ago, yesterday, guys. Iranian state television showed a map of possible targets. Potential targets in the area. Look at that. And this port was on that map. It appeared on the map that was shown on state television. And it wasn't alone, guys. The same map also marked the Leviathan gas field here in Israel. And the pipeline that connects El Arish to Ashkelon, another city in Israel. So now I need to be once again clear with you. There is no evidence linking Iran to what happened at that port today. No one claimed responsibility, and Egypt didn't call it an attack. But the target appearing on the map, on television and catching fire 2 days later. That's the kind of coincidence that no one in the security field buys. I don't believe it. That kind of coincidence doesn't exist, guys. And now I want you to understand here why no one wants to take responsibility for this. No one wants to say it was them, guys. The reason is Egypt. Notice the position Egypt is in today. So far, it's literally out of all this. It hasn't shot anyone or joined any coalition, including Iran's or the United States. It hasn't lent its bases, for example, to the Americans. It didn't sign any statement. It didn't send any planes. The moment someone admits they've hit Egyptian soil, this is over. Egypt stops being a spectator and becomes a participant, and an aggrieved party with the right to respond. We're not talking about just any country here. It's the largest army in the Arab world today, folks, with a border right next door, with control of the Suez Canal, through which part of the entire world's trade passes, and with political influence across the region. No one who is in conflict with the West today wants Egypt across the table. This is a fact. And that's why there's total silence. Admitting to that attack would push Cairo into a fight that it has made a point of staying out of until now. And now about the Houthis closing the Bab el-Mandeb and starting to charge. Egypt will have to react, since Egypt relies on that money, right? Everything that goes through here will eventually go through the Suez Canal. Everything will go through the Suez Canal. Just look at the Suez Canal. Let's head to the Red Sea and look at the activity there. Imagine everyone here paying. Here, the Red Sea reaches Israel. Look, it goes to the Suez Canal toward Egypt and the Sinai Peninsula. We can see it here. Look. Suez Canal, guys. Look at this. This place is amazing. They built this, which reaches the Mediterranean Sea. And the ships come in here, slow down here, and then leave. They go all the way until they reach the Mediterranean Sea. In other words, Egypt lives off the fees they charge for ships to pass through here. Any ship that passes through here has to pay. And if the Houthis start charging up ahead, the guy will have to pay twice. This is going to cause trouble too, guys. It's going to cause trouble. Look at the number of ships that are lined up here to enter the area. Just look. So it's a place with a lot of maritime traffic. Let's discuss this, guys. The conclusion is the same in all three scenarios. That's what I want you to remember from this stream. This dispute was taken to the Mediterranean. The confrontation had two fronts at sea. Now there are three. The Gulf, the Red Sea, and our side of the map, the Mediterranean side. And before anyone says this is far away, the port of Damietta is just a few hundred kilometers from our coast. It's the same sea. People are still missing here. So don't be fooled, folks. It's very close, okay? We're still missing people. Trump's contradiction, okay? He promises a response and to keep negotiations open the same day. It's a contradiction. It may even seem inconsistent, but it isn't. The regime didn't sit at that table of its own accord, that table that might exist now. They didn't come willingly. He sat down after many nights in a row getting bombed. Whoever eases the pressure loses the other side at the negotiating table. So the threat is not the opposite of negotiation. The threat is what keeps the Iranian in the chair. Keep an eye on three things in the next few hours. First, if anyone really claims responsibility, if besides this group that claimed it, another bigger one does too, this attack on this port of Damietta. If someone claims responsibility, that changes everything because then you have someone to hold accountable, right? To demand answers for what happened there, folks. If that really happens. If it doesn't happen, you'll be left without knowing. Second, if the Israeli response in southern Lebanon comes today, and whether it is targeted or if it hits underground. Third, the August 9th deadline that the Iraqi militias gave to their own government. Note this date. It wasn't picked randomly. It's after their very important holiday. And it will come back. And the word, guys, in Hebrew. Let's finish here with the word in Hebrew. Today's word in Hebrew is hazit. Hazit. Here. Hazit. Hazit means front, battlefront. It's widely used here in Israel. We use that a lot. We always use this word in the plural. We refer to northern and southern fronts. When someone says they've opened a new front, everyone immediately understands what this really costs. Because a front isn't just a line on a map. A front is people, it's soldiers, it's ammunition, it's attention, it's money. Every new front that opens doesn't add, it divides. And today another one opened at sea, where no one expected it, against a country that hadn't gotten involved in anything so far. I'm reporting live from the Judean mountains in Israel, tracking every movement and flight, every decision made in the next few hours. When the next piece or drone falls, I'll return to explain each part to you, putting them together one by one, the way the mainstream media doesn't. Let's check if there's an American attack now. I think it will happen later, not at this moment. Not exactly now. I'll show an image since many ask me, Davey, what sites do you use? Remember that question? See the planes and videos. Look at this site, guys. These are the two sites I use to observe planes and ships in real time, okay? So write it down. They're not apps. There's also an app. The first one has an app. I'm not sure whether the second one, marine traffic, has an app, but those are the two. There's also a paid version where you can see this in a better way. This isn't an ad, guys. I'm not getting anything from them by doing this. It's the website I use, and you always ask me about it in the comments. So there it is for anyone who wants to check it out. The word is hazit. Let's see here. There are people who believe it. I'm going to make the video of Peter Hexer talking about the third time. I need to dub this video and bring it to you guys. Maybe on the other channel. So I have another channel, guys. I'll put it here for you. On this other channel, I post a different kind of content. It's been a long time since I did anything there, actually. I prefer posting dubbed content there. On this other channel, because we know there are copyrights involved. So if they cut it or if there's any issue with my channel, then there's no problem, you know? There's no problem at all. Look, this channel here. Let me put it here so you can see. I'm going to upload this dubbed Peter Hexer video there today, okay? I'll post it today. Here, look. This is the channel, Davi Almeida Al-Meskani Clips. Like this and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell. I'd appreciate it if you became a member too. There are already some members here. Any help is very welcome. Okay, this is the alternative channel. Just subscribe there. I also upload dubbed videos since it's allowed there for now, right? YouTube still hasn't discovered the dubbed videos I upload there. I'm going to put the planes here. Let's check the situation with the planes. Look at how many planes there are, guys. Remember, there were almost none before. There were only 2 left. They're already getting into position, taking off from Iriado. See? To get ready for tonight. It's coming. Tonight is going to be long for the Iranian side. I really hope, I want to believe that Trump is going to come in with full force this time. And not just keep talking without doing anything. Thank you. Thank you, Klita Linda, for the super chat. Will humanity destroy itself? Seems that way. It seems like there's someone real, someone or some group very interested in destroying the world's energy supply. Watch the targets closely. What's happening? It's going unnoticed, guys, but Ukraine is bombing Russia every day. Logistics, buildings, apocalyptic fires over there. Guys, just look at the videos. The videos are impressive. Impressive. What's happening over there? Oil reserves, refineries, tanks in the Russian region, in the Caspian Sea as well. Ships hit. Here in the region, again, oil, gas. If Trump keeps his promise now, right? If he keeps his promise to hit a plant. Remember, he said for each ship, a plant or a bridge. Let's see if he'll keep it. If he hits plants over there too, they'll hit plants on the Gulf side too. So once again, energy, once again, oil, once again, gas. Pay close attention. Someone wants this world to go through a reset. I can't see it any other way. Thank you, Douglas. Davi, do you think nuclear weapons might be used against Iran? No, I don't think so. Douglas, nuclear weapons are truly the very last option. The last resort. I don't think it's possible. But I think it's very possible that Iran will use chemical and biological weapons because they have them. Netanyahu himself has already confirmed this here as well. So yes, it's possible for them to use that. A dirty weapon like that. News brand. David, look at how this started and how it is now. Imagine the day they have a nuclear bomb, the Western world will be held hostage by them. Exactly, exactly. And I'll tell you honestly, is there a solution to this? There's no solution, folks. There's no solution. Do you really expect the Shiites to surrender? That's not going to happen. A Shiite is a Shiite exactly because of this reason. They don't surrender to anything. To die as martyrs, they will never surrender. I know this is hard to hear. A lot of people don't understand it the way they should. But that's what makes them Shiite. Each one has their own line, right? Just like Jews don't give up the Torah, Christians don't give up the New Testament, and evangelicals don't give up their beliefs. It's the same thing with the Shiite. If he gives that up, then for him, that's surrender. If he surrenders, he stops being a Shiite. He ended everything. In other words, they go all the way, guys. They really go all the way. So the only possibility here is a ground invasion to seize Karg Island, cut off their money, and make them collapse from within, economically and otherwise. Or invade Tehran. I don't see another solution. Honestly, I don't see a solution. Start taking them out one by one until someone, somewhere in this regime, agrees to negotiate and accept the American terms. There is no way to win this war. Just dropping bombs every day on targets and targets. This will never end. Never. Vera Oliveira, thanks so much for the super sticker. Truly grateful. Ana Oliveira, thank you very much for the super sticker as well. Trump is just blah, 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 and it's not going to be any different. Trump did Nando's Aquarium. Trump did a lot. I can't even say how much this guy has already done. So much for this area, especially Israel. None. No president in the history of the United States has done as much for this region as Trump. We really have to take our hats off to him for that. And he has to, navigate that turbulent sea that exists in that region between politics, democracy, votes for, votes against. He has to navigate through all this bureaucracy to try to keep fighting. Unfortunately, that's the reality for Trump. Could he attack more forcefully? He could. Does he have that option? I believe he does. Absolutely. But he's out there playing. It's a game, right? When oil prices go up, he stops. When oil prices go down, he comes back again. So let's... I'm the problem. Where did that happen? Ukraine wants to destroy Russia's economy and they're justified. Ukraine wants to destroy the Russian economy, Russia's economy. That's what they want. They are actually targeting. The owners of this large company are being targeted. Some have already been hit, right? Several. Yeah. They're guys connected to Putin, as far as I know. They're important people over there. But the ones who sell at these companies are regular people. In the end, they're targeting regular people. Because that same company changed its contract and said it has no responsibility for anything you own in there. For those who don't know, it's like the Amazon of Russia. If you have inventory, you put it in that facility, you sell online, and this company handles shipping logistics similar to Amazon. It's basically the same system, just in Russia. That inventory belongs to you, not the company. So if they destroy the warehouse, they're destroying your inventory. The storage company said they're not responsible for your inventory. So they're crushing ordinary people, not just the economy. This won't destroy Russia's economy. It's going to bankrupt ordinary people. The sellers, the small business owners who are selling there. Yeah. I haven't heard about the 40 Hezbollah members being cornered. Lucian, maybe you aren't watching all the way through. I've said this before. Hello, Davey. Thank you. Ukraine is using the destruction of Russian refineries as a strategy to weaken and defeat Russia. From Delimara. He is weakening Russia for sure. This way he is weakening it, but he is also breaking the people for good, just like Russia broke the people of Ukraine too. What I mean at the end of all this is that the oil from there, you'll feel it in your wallet in Brazil too. The Gulf oil will hit our wallets too. Everything's connected. It's all one world. According to... Thanks, Veronica, for the super stick. Let me see here. Information that came out in Israel is not actually new, that the United States may launch a large-scale attack against Iran in the next few hours. Israel's security forces are on maximum alert for any developments, and there are no changes in instructions for the population for those who asked. So there are no rules for Israel at this exact moment, but the United States, according to what we understand, is going to launch a large-scale attack today in the early hours here in Israel. It's now 11:14 p.m. local time. The bombing strategy didn't solve Vietnam, so it won't solve anything with Iran. For sure, there's no way to solve it. You can't win a war this way. Air Force doesn't win wars. Periods doesn't win. We need boots on the ground, guys. Boots on the ground. You need to put boots on the ground. If it's not like that, you won't win this war. There's no way to win. Thank you, Janaina Vargas. Thanks. Davi got a haircut. Always impeccable. I'm back. Today I got a haircut. I had to do it. It was time already, Janaina. Davey, did they stop eliminating Iran's terrorist leaders? Yes, they've stopped for a while now. Unfortunately, right? That's why Iran has to be very careful not to attack Israel. Because if they attack Israel, Netanyahu said this too on Fox News today. Yeah, Sean asked him why Iran hasn't attacked Israel. He said it's because Iran knows that if they attack Israel, the response will be devastating for Iran. But you might ask, can't the United States deliver a devastating response to Iran? Do you really know? No. Trump doesn't have the power to do that. The kind of response Israel can mount, Trump doesn't have that kind of strength. He has that military strength, but he can't do that. He can't really declare war. He does a small operation like he's doing now. Maybe what happens tonight will start a big regional war. Because what we're seeing today, folks, is a regional war. It's a regional war. It's Saudi Arabia against Iraq. Iraq's militias are the government, so it's against Iraq. It's Saudi Arabia against Yemen. It's Iran against everyone. It's Iran now also attacking Egypt indirectly. Okay, that's it, okay? And Ukraine attacking the Iranian ship. Iran supplying weapons to Russia to attack Ukraine. Look at this tangle of information. And then Pakistan saying that whoever attacks Saudi Arabia will be at war with Pakistan. In other words, this doesn't end. So there's actually an answer there, right? Why doesn't Iran launch a full-scale attack on Saudi Arabia? Because they know that Pakistan has signed, a pact with Saudi Arabia, that any war against Saudi Arabia, attacking Saudi Arabia is like attacking Pakistan. If the attack is overwhelming, do an urgent live for us. I'll try, Leonardo. I'll try. Really, I'll try. Guys, the iBest contest. Don't forget about the iBest contest. It hasn't started again yet, okay? It hasn't started again. We're already in the top 20 in Brazil. We're already in the top 20. So this vote isn't relevant right now, okay? It's not here yet, but it will be back in August. I think around mid-August. On the 15th, the voting starts again. I'll be counting on your vote. I'm already in Brazil's top 20 in case you didn't know. I'm already there, okay? Look here, see? Top 20, I got this little badge here, okay? I'm already in the top 20 in Brazil. That's already huge for me. It's already a big victory. I'm counting on your vote so we can reach the top 10. Top 10, guys, it's huge. I didn't even know about this contest until I found out, since we didn't have it here and knew nothing about it. But I'm already in, so I'm counting on your vote too so we can move up to the top 20, to the top 10 kisses. Saudi Arabia has already been attacked several times and Pakistan did nothing. Rita, it was attacked. They attacked American bases in Saudi Arabia. Different. American bases in Saudi Arabia. They didn't attack Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabian government building. It wasn't attacked, okay? They attacked US bases. That's very different. So Pakistan might refuse to enter the war because they're attacking an American base and not something truly Saudi. Okay? On Saudi territory, similar to the Abu Dhabi base attack. Remember when they attacked a base in Abu Dhabi with US troops? So, same thing, okay? They attacked American bases in Bahrain, American bases in Kuwait, American bases in Qatar, and the same thing in Saudi Arabia. My friends, this is the live stream for now. I'll be back later. I should be able to handle this here. Depending on the size of the American attack, I'll return live with updates. If it happens in an hour and a half or about 2 hours, this US round should begin. Shimon has already moved up, guys. Shimon Oliveira is already in the top 20 as well. Hugs to everyone, my friends. See you soon. I'll be back later with the latest updates live about what's happening here in the Middle East. Hugs and see you then.